What if the first undeniable sign of alien intelligence doesn't come as a radio signal, but as a glowing comet racing straight toward Mars? For months, astronomers thought the object now called 3IATLAS was nothing more than a frozen wanderer from deep space. Just another comet passing by, spectacular but harmless. But then, the numbers changed, and with them, the entire story. Instead of drifting aimlessly, this thing is moving with purpose. Its path is tightening, its speed is increasing, and now, for the first time, calculations show it may not simply pass Mars, it could collide with it. And here's the chilling part. The way it moves looks less like random physics and more like glints. On July 1st, astronomers spotted something unusual creeping in from the outer darkness of interstellar space. At first glance, it looked ordinary, a comet, icy and distant, glowing faintly against the stars. They named it 3IATLAS. The assumption was simple. It would pass by, put on a light show for telescopes, and disappear forever. But within weeks, that assumption began to unravel. New observations from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and Harvard's team, led by Loeb, revealed something no one expected. The orbit wasn't steady. The numbers kept shifting. Instead of holding to a natural curve, the path seemed to tighten, bending as if 3IATLAS was adjusting itself. That alone raised eyebrows. Objects this large, moving this fast, don't just change course, not without a reason. Yet here was an interstellar body accelerating in subtle but undeniable ways. Even stranger, its trajectory wasn't random. It was aligning almost perfectly with Mars's orbital plane, as though aiming directly at the red planet. What began as a routine discovery was quickly turning into a mystery, and the deeper astronomers looked, the stranger the behavior became.
At first, astronomers thought the strange trajectory might be a fluke of gravity, tiny pulls from the Sun, Jupiter, or Mars itself. But then the object revealed something no natural comet had ever shown. Its coma, the glowing halo of gas and dust, didn't just brighten steadily as expected. It doubled in intensity within weeks, flaring with sharp spikes of ultraviolet light far beyond ordinary cometary physics. Instead of calming as it neared the Sun, 3IATLAS grew more unstable, as if something deep inside was deliberately forcing energy outward. Then came the real shock. Using high-powered spectroscopy in Chile, researchers detected that the comet wasn't venting gas randomly. Instead, it released bursts on a clock, once every 17 minutes, like a heartbeat, perfectly timed pulses, each pushing it ever so slightly closer to Mars. No natural process works like that. In comets, sunlight cracks open frozen pockets of gas, and eruptions are chaotic. But this was mechanical, predictable, almost engineered. The plumes looked more like thrusters than accidents of ice and rock. For scientists, the implications were staggering. Something out there wasn't just drifting, it was steering. And that's when calculations showed the danger, because this strange interstellar visitor wasn't just passing by, it was closing in on a collision course.
By late summer, the numbers became terrifying. New trajectory models suggested that on September 26, 2025, 3IATLAS would pass within just 1.95 million kilometers of Mars, a cosmic hair's breadth. Close enough for the planet's gravity to tug at it, shifting its path even further. That alone would be historic. But here's the chilling twist. If the object gained just 10 kilometers per second of extra velocity, less than the thrust SpaceX's Starship uses to launch, it wouldn't miss at all. It would hit. And if it struck, astronomers estimate the impact would release the force of over 2 million megatons of TNT, thousands of times greater than the largest nuclear test in human history. A crater 60 kilometers wide,
dust clouds towering into space, Mars' orbit littered with deadly debris, dozens of spacecraft, from the Perseverance rover to orbiting satellites, destroyed in an instant, decades of research, gone overnight. But the real puzzle wasn't just the danger, it was the power source. To shift course this dramatically, 3IATLAS would need more energy than any known comet could produce. Outgassing alone couldn't explain it. It was as if something inside was generating impossible levels of thrust, fusion reactions, antimatter, or something even stranger buried beneath its icy shell. In other words, if this wasn't a rock, it was a machine. And that's when the leaks started. Classified data hinting that what astronomers were seeing was far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered.
Behind the calm public statements, whispers began leaking out of NASA and the European Space Agency. Insiders claimed the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter was already being used as a forward radar station, scanning the interloper as it closed in. The results? Classified. But one source described the radar echoes as unlike any comet ever seen. Instead of soft, icy reflections, the signals came back metallic, hard, solid. Then came the photographs. ESA's Mars Express captured 3 faint, glinting points of light high above the planet, arranged in a perfect triangle. At first, dismissed as cosmic rays on the detector, but they reappeared. Same spots, same formation, orbit after orbit. Were these fragments? Or something far more deliberate, scout probes released long before the comet even arrived? And fueling the fire was Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, who published a paper arguing the unthinkable, that 3IATLAS wasn't just a visitor, but a messenger. A piece of alien technology using gas pulses to steer itself like a spacecraft, aligning perfectly with Mars as if it had a destination. If true, this wouldn't just be the first interstellar object to strike a planet. It would be the first clear evidence that we are not alone. Evidence written not in a signal, but in an impact. And the consequences of that impact wouldn't stop at Mars, because what happens on the red planet could eventually reach Earth. As the data spread, silence from official agencies grew louder. NASA issued calm, routine updates. ESA posted carefully worded images. But behind closed doors, something else was happening. Insiders revealed that every major space agency, NASA, ESA, Roscosmos, CNSA, and JAXA, had quietly convened emergency task forces. The concern wasn't just Mars. If 3IATLAS did collide, fragments could be blasted into interplanetary space. Some projections even suggested that within a decade, pieces of debris might cross Earth's orbit. And here's where it gets unsettling. If the object really is technological, if it carries engineered materials, microbes, or even self-replicating systems, then a collision wouldn't just scar Mars, it could spread alien matter across the solar system. That possibility has triggered debates unlike anything in scientific history. Should humanity try to intercept and destroy this interstellar intruder before it reaches Mars? Or should we stand back and let it unfold, risking everything for the chance to study what could be the first confirmed artifact of another civilization? For the first time ever, planetary defense isn't just about saving Earth. It's about deciding whether we let an alien machine crash into our neighbor or stop it before we know the truth. And as September 2025 approaches, that decision may shape the future of humanity itself.
So here we are, watching as an object from beyond our solar system closes in on Mars, pulsing with unnatural rhythms and bending its own trajectory in ways no comet ever should. Maybe it's just an extreme outlier of nature, a frozen wanderer behaving in ways science hasn't yet explained. Or maybe it's something else entirely. If 3IATLAS really is controlled, then what happens on September 26, 2025 could become the first undeniable evidence of extraterrestrial technology. Not a message beamed through the stars, but a machine slamming into a planet in our backyard. The red world we've studied for decades might soon carry a scar left by an intelligence older and more advanced than ours. The silence from official channels only deepens the mystery. Agencies prepare in the background, but to the public, it's just another comet update. Yet behind the numbers, the implications are staggering. This could rewrite our understanding of life in the universe. It could change the way we see ourselves forever. So, the question is simple but terrifying. When 3IATLAS makes its move, will we be witnessing a natural event or the first deliberate act of contact? We won't have to wait long to find out. But what do you think? Is this comet just a strange piece of cosmic ice or proof that we are not alone? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates as the story unfolds.